fact of the matter is, I've been here 27 years, and I've spoken to a number of people about that, and everyone's aware of that. And they are not in power. They cannot do anything. Dr. Burke has been hired to do something in that regard. If he's aware of it, that's not enough.
No. I don't think, based on the material that I provided recently to the community, that the citizens in our community are aware of that number. Now, they have this general perception that we're spending too much on X or Y or Z. Everyone I have talked to are appalled. Now, Joe knows that number. I mean, everybody knows that. And when I went to the university, if you were below 72% of your budget into the academic program, you had a problem. The challenge is, where are we going and what are we going to do with it? And what I've asked and what I've suggested in the discussion is people need to know what we're going to do with it. And I have a plan. I have a suggestion. We shorten bus routes. I want to talk about the elementary school. We shorten bus routes, add an hour into the day. The kids in elementary school get out at 2 o'clock. There is no reason that they can't go to 3 o'clock and help us with those who are underperforming, helping the average kids get a little higher, and helping the bright kids go further. That's cost $23 million. And I said we got $60 million out there just to get up to the average funding rate. The next thing I would do is what's going on, proposed to the community, is a student enrichment hour going on all over the country in major cities from 3 to 4. It is when the community gets involved, the literacy council get involved, the parents get involved, the business leaders get involved, challenging the various brightest and doing the kinds of things that I've talked about. And in some cases, quite frankly, kids just are studying because they don't have a place at home to study. You know, I understand that. I taught downtown Detroit for 5 years. So we're taking care of those social things. A lot of people like busing, not for academic reasons, because it doesn't add any value. It is for convenience, because the kids, quite frankly, who is going to babysit? Well, what's wrong with designing a system from 2 to 3 with instruction and then support instructional kinds of activities, volunteers and paraprofessionals going up from 3 to 4, and the bus is picking them up at 4. And saving that time cost $5 million. I costed it out with the budget director.
And Dr. Burke said,
I've not talked to Dr. Burke about that. This is my in the campaign as my proposal has come forward. And the third thing that we do is we invest in these schools. These are the C-rated elementary schools in our district. And in my definition, C is failing. Okay? C is failing because Florida is 48th out of 50 states in inequality measure, 47, 48. So A schools are on the average nationally. These schools are failing. They've been failing ever since you've been here, Dick. Ever since you've been here, those schools have been failing. These are our brown and black schools. We're proud when we have a newspaper release from Sanibel, #1 in the state out of 1,700 schools. Nobody talks about number 1,674. Now, what are other school districts doing about this? Well, let me tell you about what Milwaukee's doing with it. They've asked their best principals, Dick, if I give you $10,000 extra every year, will you run one of those schools? Principal says, sure. And Roy, as one of our best principals, if I give you an incentive for you to hire some of our best teachers to come down here, would you do that? And he's nodding yes. And David, when I come down to that school that you're running, I don't want to see any guff. I don't want to see any kids running around the school. I don't want to see any graffiti on the wall. I want to see you running this like a charter school. Will you do that? No cost. The
Is there
superintendent,
graffiti on the walls in
there's,
these schools?
there's stuff on the walls.
And who do you blame for that?
I blame the system, because the system, I'm telling you, the system doesn't care.
When you say the system, I'm lost. The system is starting with the janitor or starting
This,
with Dr. Burke?
the entire organization lets this happen. Let me give you an example. If I'm a home builder, and I have 6 job sites out there, and I'm building a home, and this one over here is lagging behind, what do? I go in here and I say, I need a new superintendent to run this thing, a new principal. I need new subcontractors to do this. Fine. I need to, when I come out there, I don't want to see all this clutter and all this stuff laying around the job site. I want it to look professional. That's what you do. Okay. So what are we doing? It's back to the question that we talked about earlier. The system is so big, we run the system like one school. Sanibel is different. They have wonderful community support. These schools in their foundation get $310 or whatever it is from the people in the community. So we have to treat that school differently. And they're doing it all over. It's not the same. You can't run these schools the same. And so, but the system, because what Joe inherited is so big, all run from the top, we've got to decentralize it, and then we've got to say to these people, this is what we expect. Let me give you an example. This is one of my campaign charts that I talk about. Make quality a reality. You see this little area down here where we talk about accountability? Let me ask you the question. You've been here 27 years, right?
That's right.
How many times have you heard about a principal evaluation?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
That's right, because there is none. The key managers in our organization do not have their feet held to the fire in a regular professional development evaluation.
I agree with everything you say, Mr. Cochran, but here's where I have a problem.
Okay.
You started this conversation by saying that Dr. Burke is doing a good job. We are now talking about things that lead me to believe that he's not doing a good job. If I was Dr. Burke and I visited these schools ever, I would immediately fire the person in charge of that school, because you gotta hold somebody responsible.
Absolutely.
Has he done that?
No. There are criteria, if you look at what he's done. The point is, he has a split board.
You mean if he goes to a school and he sees graffiti on the wall and he's not happy with the shape of he has to go back to the board and explain why he took that person to task?
He can take that and do that. I don't know if he's done that. I mean, I've obviously been running on a campaign. Here's my dialogue with Joe Burke. I went to Joe 18 months ago, or when he first got here, said, welcome aboard, I'm running for school board, and it wasn't this fancy at this time, but here's the things I'm thinking about running on. And I said, do you embrace these? He said, yes, they make sense, we got to do it. Fine. I have not had a direct conversation, because I've been a campaign person with Joe since that time. So what I see is what I read in the paper and talk with people. There is a general sense, not a formal evaluation, that he is doing a good job.
Based on?
Based on perception, based on the fact that they see what people use in their own judgment. They see him here. People like him here. Part of it is he has...
I've seen him around. I think he's a nice fella.
The point is...
Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike the man.
Well, and I don't want to defend him either, Dick, but I think a year is not long enough time to evaluate somebody.
You believe that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because I've seen the board, who's, as I asked the past school board